everyone, it's Hailey, and today I'm going to be talking about my book bucket list. So there are so many books out there that I would love to read, and I don't really have the time to read all of the ones that I really want to, but there are a select few that I definitely want to get to before I kick the bucket, which hopefully I will have a lot of time to do this because it's a pretty long list. So I have quite a few classics that I wanted to talk about today specifically that I would really like to read in my lifetime, and I love classics. I'm not one of those people though that thinks like you have to read these classics in order to be a writer or in order to consider yourself a reader. I just enjoy classics and I like to read a vast array of things, and I like to kind of read things from different time periods and different places around the world, so I know a little bit more about the history of literature, I guess. I'm a nerd like that, I don't know, but let's just get into my book bucket list. So the first book on my book bucket list is Animal Farm by George Orwell. I don't know why I haven't read this book. I really can't explain it. It doesn't make sense to me at all because it's tiny. It's a really small book, and I've read 1984 by George Orwell and I did enjoy it. It's quite a clunky read, but it was still good, and I've heard so many things about Animal Farm and how iconic it is and all the commentary that it has. It just seems very interesting to me, and like it would be a really cool book to analyze, so it is definitely one that I would like to read and analyze in my lifetime. Next is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I would like to read something from all of the Brontes, but I feel like I've heard so much about Wuthering Heights and Heathcliff and all that stuff. It's a story that I know of, and I actually think it would be pretty perfect to be reading around this time of year because it is fall right now, but I just don't think I'm gonna have the time to get to it this year, so maybe next year I'll be able to listen to the audiobook for it or something, because I think it's like a creepy gothic read. If it's anything like Jane Eyre, it will be kind of that gothic-esque story, so I really would like to be able to read it very soon. Next is Every Single Play and Sonnet by Shakespeare. I have read a fair amount of them. I'm not sure how many exactly, but I would like to read every single one before I die, so I have read a lot of the comedies and a few of the tragedies. The comedies tend to be my favorite. I've read a few of the sonnets, and I haven't read any of the histories. The histories are very intimidating to me, so they are ones that I would like to get to, but I am just like, this is going to take so much time and so much research and stuff, but I'm a big fan of Shakespeare. I love his use of language. I just think it's beautiful and lyrical and just absolutely incredible, so I do really love his plays, and I would like to read them all so then I can actually have like my master list of favorites, because right now a lot of my favorites are the comedies, like I said, but I'd like to delve more into the other ones that he's written to see if I have more favorites in different genres, I guess. Next is Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. I feel like this is one where like I might have to commit that cardinal sin of watching the movie before I read the book because it's so big. Like, it is just so big, and there are quite a few on this list that the reason I haven't gotten to them yet is because they are a big commitment and will take a lot of time, and Gone with the Wind is definitely one of them, but I feel like it's a quintessential Americana novel, and I've heard so many things about it, and I've heard so many things about the movie. Like, I don't really know a lot about what the story is about, but one of my coworkers is actually obsessed with it, so I feel like it is one that I should definitely try and get to. Next is one that I'm not really sure if I want to read it in my lifetime or if I will never end up reading it. I'm kind of torn on it, but that is the Lord of the Rings trilogy by Tolkien. I've read The Hobbit and I didn't really like it, which is really unfortunate because my dad loves it and I wish that I could also love it so then we could like chat about it, but that was not the case. It was a miss for me. I don't like reading about like a lot of journeying and stuff. Like, I want stuff to actually be happening. So if The Lord of the Rings is anything like The Hobbit, I probably won't get to it, but I haven't even seen the movies, so I know obviously like the premise, like one ring, blah blah blah. I know all that stuff, but I don't know anything in between. So I feel like it would be interesting for me to read them, especially since they are kind of like a quintessential fantasy novel, and it's definitely one of those books that a lot of people are like, how can you write if you haven't read Lord of the Rings or blah blah blah, which I totally disagree with, but at the same time I would like to see kind of the grassroots of fantasy, and I feel like The Lord of the Rings is a pretty good place to start with that, so I would like to try and do it. I just don't know if I'll be able to. Next is Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. This is one of the first dystopian novels, and it's one that a lot of people study in school. A lot of these are ones that were studied in school, but I never got the chance to study them. But I know that Brave New World, my sister has actually read, and she read it for fun, and I don't know if she enjoyed it or not. I really don't know a lot about it except for the fact that it is a dystopian and it's kind of weird and creepy, which most dystopians are, so I think it would be a good book to read. And once again, I like to just see like how a genre has progressed, so reading these classics that are some of the first of their kind I think would be interesting when I'm reading like more recent novels that are in that genre, if that makes any sense at all. Next, I have a few Russian novels because Russians are very big novelists and I will not be able to Russian through these. That was terrible. But the first one is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. This, I believe, is described as like the epic novel. I think I saw it was on Jeopardy the other day and I did get the answer correct, even though I haven't read it yet. But there was like a thing of it, it was like the best novel of its time. I don't know. The point is, it's talked about so much that I feel like it is one that I would like to get to. And that is the same story with War and Peace, which is also by Tolstoy. This is a novel that is once again a chunker, but I feel like this is one that interests me a little bit more because of the Broadway show, The Great Comet, which I know of because of Jenna. And seeing that, it did look really interesting. I didn't know there was like a comet involved in it. I don't know. I wish I had the time to like really get through these books, but I know they're ones that I won't be able to get through very quickly. So I'm like, no, like maybe next year, but hopefully I'll do it soon. Next is a novel that, as a Canadian, it's ridiculous that I haven't read yet, and that is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I have a personalized signed copy of it. I met Margaret Atwood and I hadn't read it yet. How awful is that? Like, so bad. So this is definitely a book that I want to get to. It's been on like my yearly TBR for the past like 2 or 3 years, and I just still haven't done it. And even with the show coming out, it's been even more motivation for me to prioritize it, but for some reason, I just haven't done it. I really need to do that very soon. Next is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I have read Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens twice because I had to study it twice in university, and A Tale of Two Cities I think would be his next novel that would interest me, and then Great Expectations. He has so many and they're all so big. But I do really like Dickens. It's a bit dense to get through, but I do think that he has like a really beautiful way with words. So Tale of Two Cities I think interests me because of the time period, and I find the French Revolution very interesting to study. And Great Expectations, I just feel like I hear a lot about it, so I would like to know more of what it's about. I would also like to read the rest of Jane Austen's books because I haven't read them yet. I have read Northanger Abbey, Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, and I believe that's it. I'm looking at them because they're over there. Yes, those are the only ones that I've read. So I'd like to read Emma, and what is the other one? Oh my goodness, why am I blanking? Persuasion, I knew it started with a P, and Mansfield Park, and I would just like to read all of them, okay? Because I really love Jane Austen, so why haven't I read them all yet? I don't know. The problem is there's so many new books coming out all the time that I never get the chance to go back and read all these old books that I'm interested in. So like Dracula by Bram Stoker, I would love to read that because it's like a classic monster novel, one of the classic gothic novels, so like I would like to get to it. Same with The Portrait of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This is one I hear about all the time because it's Oscar Wilde's novel and it's such an iconic story, and it's like a lot of people take a modern twist on it because it's like the first selfie gone wrong. I know what the story is about, but it's another one that I've owned forever and just haven't gotten to. The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne, one that I hear about all the time in pop culture, would really like to delve into that. And all of the fairy tales. I want to read all of the fairy tales, especially because I draw a lot of inspiration for my own writing from fairy tales. I would love to write some fairy tale retellings, so it would be awesome to be able to read them all. Honestly, there are so many books that I'm forgetting on this list. I know that for a fact, so please let me know what books are on your book bucket list because I think it's a really interesting topic, like what books you would really like to read but you just haven't gotten to yet. So I'm gonna end the video there because I really could go on forever with books that I want to read before I die, because if it were my world, I would have all the time and I would be able to read all of the books and there would be no book that would go unread, but unfortunately that can't actually happen. So if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to click that subscribe button and click that bell icon so you'll be notified whenever I post. I post new videos every Wednesday and Friday, and I also participate in the Bookmarked live show every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but all the information for that will be down below. You can also follow me on all of my social media. All of my handles and links and all of that fun stuff will be down below as well. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!